Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that everything you've ever wanted is already waiting for you, but it's waiting for you to act like it's yours? Most people wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect courage before they move, but life doesn't reward hesitation, it rewards belief. So from this moment forward, walk like it's already yours. Speak like it's already done. Move like destiny is following your every step. Because the truth is, when you start walking in faith, the world starts rearranging itself in your favor. And as you continue walking, something incredible begins to happen. You start to see how your perception shapes your path. The world hasn't changed overnight, but you have. The way you carry yourself, the way you think, the way you speak, all begin to mirror the person you're becoming, not the person you once were. You start to move with quiet assurance, not because every step is easy, but because you've learned that faith grows stronger through movement. The ground becomes firmer beneath your feet because belief transforms uncertainty into direction. Each step forward becomes a declaration that you trust in the process of becoming. You must understand that life is always responding to the energy you put out. When you walk as though something already belongs to you, you signal to life that you are ready to handle it. It's not pretending, it's preparing. Preparation of the mind always comes before possession in the physical world. The universe does not give more to those who merely wish. It gives to those who prepare, those who expect, those who believe enough to act as if it's already unfolding. When you act with faith, you invite progress. When you act with fear, you postpone it. Fear thrives in stillness. It multiplies in the moments when you pause too long to doubt your next move. But when you move, even in small, deliberate steps, fear begins to fade. Because fear cannot survive in motion. Every time you take action, you weaken its grip. You show your mind that you are the master, not the victim, of your emotions. You begin to see that the courage you were searching for was never outside of you. It was waiting to be awakened by your own determination. Many people look at those who succeed and think they were born fearless. But no one is born fearless. Fear is part of the human experience. It is what reminds us that something important is at stake. The difference between those who rise and those who remain is not the absence of fear, it's their relationship with it. The successful learn to use fear as fuel. They walk with it beside them, not behind them. They recognize that fear is often a sign they're heading in the right direction, toward growth, toward expansion, toward life itself. When you start walking like it's already yours, you begin to operate from a new identity. You're no longer the person who's chasing, you're the person who's aligning. There's a difference between chasing something out of desperation and walking toward it with conviction. Desperation says, I need it to feel complete. Conviction says, it's already part of my path. When you walk with conviction, you attract what is meant for you naturally, without forcing, without begging. Because what's yours will always recognize you, if you have the courage to walk in your true identity. Every day, you are sending silent messages to your future through your choices, your posture, your words. If those messages are filled with doubt, your future echoes uncertainty. But if they are filled with faith, your future responds with opportunity. This is why you must choose to embody the outcome before you see it. The person who achieves success doesn't wait to feel confident. They create confidence through repetition, through consistent steps that affirm their belief. Confidence is not a feeling that appears first. It is the evidence of faith practiced daily. Imagine a seed buried deep in the soil. It doesn't see the sun. It doesn't know how or when it will reach the surface. Yet it grows anyway, pushing through darkness, inch by inch, because it trusts the process. It doesn't need proof it has instinct. That same instinct lies within you. You are designed to grow toward your potential, but growth requires movement. You can't stay buried in fear and expect to bloom in faith. You must rise through the uncertainty, through the discomfort, through the unknown, and walk as though the sun is already shining above you. There will be times when the world will doubt you, when people will question your vision, when circumstances will test your faith. That's not a sign that you're wrong. It's a sign that you're being refined. Every great dream must pass through resistance before it becomes reality. The resistance exists to strengthen you, to prepare you, to ensure that once what you desire arrives, you can sustain it. So when challenges appear, do not stop walking. Let them shape your resolve, not break it. Every obstacle is an opportunity for you to demonstrate your belief in yourself and in your path. There is an invisible strength that comes from walking through fear rather than waiting for it to disappear. It's the kind of strength that cannot be taught by comfort, only by experience. When you face what frightens you, you take back your power. You learn that most of what you feared was an illusion, something that existed only in your imagination. The moment you take the step you were afraid to take, you discover that fear was never as big as it appeared, and from that moment on, your world expands. Every great vision begins in the unseen. Before it exists in reality, it must first exist in belief. That's why the way you walk matters. When you walk like it's already yours, you are not just moving your body. You are moving your vibration, your frequency, your very state of being. You begin to tune yourself to the life you desire. Opportunities begin to align, not because they suddenly appeared, but because your awareness finally shifted enough to see them. Belief changes perception, and perception changes everything. So walk with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they belong. Walk as if the door has already opened, even if it's still closed in sight, because confidence is not built in reaction to results. It is built in defiance of doubt. You're not waiting for evidence, you're creating it. You're writing your story through each decision, each step, each act of courage. That's how destinies are shaped, not by chance, but by conviction. You may stumble, you may question, you may lose sight of the vision for a moment, but don't let that discourage you. Every master was once uncertain. Every strong soul once trembled. What separates those who fulfill their purpose from those who abandon it is the willingness to keep moving when it's hardest. The path to greatness isn't paved with certainty. It's forged through persistence. It's a walk of faith, one deliberate step after another. There will be whispers in your mind that say, "You're not ready," or "You don't deserve it." But understand this, the moment you begin to walk, you're rewriting that story. You're teaching your subconscious a new truth, that you are worthy, that you are capable, that you are enough. The mind learns through repetition, so keep walking, keep speaking, keep believing. Let every movement be a declaration that you refuse to live as a spectator in your own life. The power of walking like it's already yours lies not in pretending, but in practicing the future until it becomes the present. Each step is an act of creation. You are designing your destiny through your movement. The person you wish to become is not somewhere far ahead. It's being built right now in your choices, in your habits, in your attitude. The world doesn't give to those who merely hope, it gives to those who embody. You must guard your thoughts carefully. What you dwell on becomes the energy you carry. If you fill your mind with doubt, you'll walk in hesitation. But if you fill it with faith, you'll walk with clarity. Remember, life mirrors your mindset. Whatever image you hold of yourself internally is reflected externally. So hold the image of the person who already has what they desire: strong, calm, capable, worthy. And walk as that person would walk. Speak as that person would speak. Think as that person would think. In time, you'll find that image no longer feels imagined. It feels natural. Momentum is your ally. Once you begin, keep moving. Don't let the early resistance fool you into stopping. The first steps always feel hardest because you're breaking through inertia, the weight of old patterns, fears, and beliefs. But each step after becomes lighter, easier, more powerful. Confidence grows through repetition, through showing up again and again, even when you don't see instant results. Trust the accumulation of effort. Every step, every small act of faith, compounds into transformation, and when you least expect it, you'll notice something shift. You'll realize that what once scared you no longer does. What once felt impossible now feels inevitable. Because the person who began the journey is no longer the same person walking it now. You've evolved, you've grown into your future, you've become the embodiment of your own belief. That is the reward of walking like it's already yours. Not just the attainment of goals, but the transformation of the self. Because in walking as though you already have it, you become the kind of person who naturally attracts it. You align with it. You live from it. The dream stops being something you chase. It becomes the life you inhabit. And all of it began with one brave decision, to walk, even when you were scared, to walk, even when you couldn't yet see the destination. To walk because deep down you knew it was always meant for you. And as you continue walking, a deeper realization begins to unfold. You begin to understand that this journey was never only about achieving something external. It was about awakening something within. What you were searching for in the world was only a reflection of what you were meant to discover inside yourself, the quiet certainty that you have always been enough. The walk you take each day is a conversation between who you are and who you are becoming, and the more you walk, the more those two begin to align. Each step forward becomes a declaration that you will no longer live according to fear's story. You start to see that fear never truly protected you. It only limited you. It kept you from the very experiences that could have revealed your strength. Now, with each movement, you reclaim the power that once felt lost. You begin to live as though possibility is not something distant, but something you carry in your stride, and that belief, so steady, so unshakable, becomes your foundation. You notice the subtle shift in your thinking. Where you once said, "I hope I can," you now say, "I know I will." That change in language marks the moment your mind steps into authority. Hope is a beautiful beginning, but certainty is what manifests results. You no longer ask life for permission to dream, you simply begin, because you've learned that every great story begins not with conditions but with conviction. You don't need the full map when you have the faith to walk the first mile. There is immense power in walking even when you cannot see the entire path. The road ahead often reveals itself only after movement begins. It's like driving through fog. You can only see a few meters ahead, yet as you move forward, more becomes visible. That's how life works. The clarity you seek waits beyond the step you've been avoiding. When you take that step, the fog lifts just enough for the next one, and before long, you've traveled farther than fear ever told you was possible. You begin to realize that walking like it's already yours doesn't mean every moment feels easy. There will still be days when the old doubts try to return, when your mind whispers, "What if you're not good enough?" But this time you smile, because now you know that doubt is just the echo of your old self, one who hadn't yet learned the truth of their strength. You no longer take those whispers as warnings. You take them as signs that you're stepping into new territory. Growth will always feel uncomfortable at first. That discomfort is simply your potential expanding, and so you walk, not because the path is certain, but because the vision is worth it. You walk not because you have proof, but because you are creating it. Every small decision, every act of courage is a brick in the foundation of your destiny. You stop waiting for miracles and start becoming one. You stop waiting for signs and start recognizing that your movement is the sign. The world does not move for those who wait. It moves for those who lead themselves through faith. You begin to walk differently now. There is a rhythm in your steps, a calmness in your presence. It's not the loud confidence of arrogance. It's the quiet power of self-trust. People begin to notice it, though they can't quite name it. They see something in you that commands attention, not because you demand it, but because you no longer seek validation. You walk as someone who has found alignment between what they believe and how they move. And that alignment is magnetic. The truth is, most people are waiting for certainty before they move, but certainty is born only through movement. You can't think your way into confidence. You must act your way into it. Action is the bridge between imagination and reality. Each time you walk forward, you prove to yourself that you are capable, and proof breeds power. The more you act in faith, the more faith becomes your natural state. It's not about pretending you're fearless. It's about proving that fear no longer dictates your pace. You start to notice how your energy changes the spaces you enter. You stand taller. You speak more clearly. You begin to radiate assurance, not because everything is perfect, but because you've accepted that perfection is not the goal. Progress is. The people around you may still be waiting for ideal conditions, but you've discovered that the ideal moment is the one you create by choosing to move now. The power to shift your life has always been in your willingness to begin. When you walk like it's already yours, you stop asking if and start focusing on how. You stop debating whether you can and start deciding that you will. You begin to understand that uncertainty is not your enemy. It's your invitation to grow into the person who can handle more. The walk itself shapes you. The discipline it demands becomes your strength. The patience it requires becomes your peace, and the belief it cultivates becomes your freedom. You realize that walking with faith is not about rushing toward results. It's about maintaining a steady pace that honors your growth. You learn to appreciate the process instead of resenting it, because the process is where transformation takes place. Every step, every trial, every delay carries a lesson meant to refine you. The goal is not only to reach the destination, but to become the kind of person who deserves to arrive there. In quiet moments, you begin to feel gratitude for the path itself. Gratitude for the times you almost gave up but didn't. Gratitude for the moments of fear that forced you to summon courage. Gratitude for the long nights of doubt that taught you the strength of your own resilience. You realize that those moments weren't obstacles. They were the sculptors of your character. Without them, you wouldn't have developed the strength to walk like it's already yours. You also begin to recognize how your journey inspires others. The way you carry yourself becomes an example for those still trapped in hesitation. Without even speaking, your walk tells a story. That it's possible to move forward while afraid, that courage is contagious, that faith leaves a visible footprint. Someone else's hope begins where your persistence continues. You are proof that walking in belief creates ripples beyond what you can see. Sometimes you'll notice how life starts to mirror your energy in the most unexpected ways. Doors open that once seemed locked. People appear who resonate with your purpose. Situations align that once felt out of reach. It's not magic, it's momentum. The energy you've been walking with has begun to echo outward, shaping your environment to match your inner state. You've stopped chasing and started attracting, not through force, but through the quiet certainty of knowing who you are. You begin to see that fear was never meant to disappear completely. It's meant to keep you aware. It reminds you that what you're doing matters. If you ever stop feeling a little afraid, it might mean you've stopped growing. So when fear arises now, you greet it with respect, but you don't bow to it. You let it walk beside you, not ahead of you. You understand that fear's only real purpose is to point toward what matters most to your soul. The more you walk, the more your mind begins to anticipate success as naturally as it once anticipated failure. You retrain your thoughts to expect good outcomes, to focus on what can go right instead of what might go wrong. That shift alone changes everything, because the world mirrors expectation. Expect joy, and you'll notice more of it. Expect progress, and you'll begin to experience it. Expect to win, and eventually you will. Life always matches the quality of your belief. As your journey unfolds, you no longer define success by what you acquire, but by who you become. You understand that true success is internal alignment, the peace that comes from knowing you are walking in your purpose. You measure progress not by applause, but by authenticity. You stop performing for approval and start walking in integrity. That shift releases you from comparison, from competition, from the noise of the world. You no longer chase validation because you've found validation within, and through it all you keep walking, some days with strength, some days with trembling, but always with faith. Because faith doesn't mean the absence of struggle, it means the refusal to let struggle stop you. You've learned that progress is not a straight line, it's a rhythm of rise and rest, of fall and climb. The beauty lies in the consistency. You walk because you trust that every step, no matter how small, is part of something greater unfolding. You walk because you know that the person you are becoming is worth every ounce of effort it takes to keep moving forward. And as you continue walking, something even more profound begins to awaken within you. The quiet understanding that the path you're on is not random. Every twist, every turn, every delay is shaping you in ways you may not yet see. What once felt like detours now reveal themselves as divine redirections. The moments you thought were wasted were actually building your patience, your wisdom, your resilience. Life was never denying you, it was developing you. It was preparing you to receive what you once thought you were chasing too soon. You start to notice how much lighter you feel when you no longer fight the process. The struggle softens when you stop resisting and start trusting. You realize that walking like it's already yours isn't about forcing outcomes. It's about flowing with purpose. There's a rhythm to progress, a pace that life moves at when you stop trying to control every detail. You can feel it in your breath, in your steps, in your thoughts. It's the quiet confidence of someone who knows that everything unfolds at the right time for the right reason. And so you keep walking, not with urgency, but with certainty. You no longer rush, because you understand that what's truly yours cannot be missed. You no longer panic, because you've learned that the right opportunities don't require you to chase. They recognize your energy when you arrive. You've stopped trying to convince the world of your worth, because your actions speak louder than any words could. You've realized that your consistency is the loudest form of belief there is. Each day, you grow more familiar with the voice of your intuition, the quiet guide that speaks not in shouts but in whispers. You've learned to trust it even when logic disagrees. It leads you in directions you don't always understand, but every time you follow, something good happens. You start to see that intuition is not magic. It's the mind's way of translating your deeper knowing into action. It's life speaking through you, reminding you that you already have the answers you seek, if only you'd listen. There's a new calm in you now. You no longer need to prove your value because you live from it. You no longer need constant reassurance because you've found something stronger. Self-trust. That trust becomes your compass. Even when the road is uncertain, it keeps you steady. You walk differently when you trust yourself. There's no panic in your pace, no desperation in your movement. You simply move forward, knowing that what's meant for you cannot pass you by. Every time you act with faith instead of fear, you rewrite the story of your life. You stop being the character waiting for something to happen and become the author making things happen. And it's a powerful shift, one that changes how you see everything. You realize that the people you admire weren't lucky, they were intentional, they believed before they saw, they walked in alignment before the world agreed with their direction, and that's exactly what you're doing now. You begin to see the beauty in persistence. The world might not celebrate your silent effort, but your future does. Every small act of courage you take today echoes into tomorrow, shaping realities you haven't yet lived. That's the power of walking as though it's already yours. You set in motion a future that cannot help but align with your steps. You're no longer hoping the world will notice you. You're creating a world that cannot ignore you. When you walk with belief, you stop shrinking to fit in places that no longer hold your growth. You no longer compromise your vision to please those who fear your expansion. You've outgrown the need for approval because you understand that most criticism comes from those too afraid to take their own steps. You respect their journey, but you no longer slow down for it. You've learned that the path to purpose can be lonely, but loneliness is not emptiness, it's space. Space for transformation, space for strength, space for your next evolution. You now understand that walking like it's already yours is not arrogance, it's alignment with your higher truth. It's not pretending to be something you're not, it's remembering who you've always been. You were born with potential, you were born with worth. You were born with everything you need to walk into your destiny. The journey is not about becoming, it's about unveiling. Every challenge strips away what you are not so that what you truly are can shine through. When you embrace this truth, even your setbacks start to look different. You stop labeling them as failures and start seeing them as feedback. You realize that every door that closed was redirecting you to something better. Every delay was protecting you from premature arrival. Life doesn't say no to punish, it says not yet to prepare. You stop taking rejection personally and start understanding it spiritually, because sometimes the greatest blessings come disguised as detours. You start noticing the small miracles that surround you each day, the coincidences, the alignments, the unexpected opportunities that seem to appear just when you need them. They are confirmations that your walk of faith is working. The world is responding to your vibration, adjusting its course to meet your belief. You begin to understand that manifestation is not just thinking positively. It's embodying your vision so completely that life has no choice but to reflect it back to you. And while others look for motivation from outside sources, you've discovered that the truest motivation comes from within. You no longer depend on the world to fuel your drive because you've tapped into something infinite, the quiet fire of purpose. That fire doesn't burn out when things get hard. It doesn't flicker in the face of doubt. It remains steady, constant, unwavering. It's the light that guides you through uncertainty, reminding you that you've come too far to turn back now. There's a peace that comes from this kind of faith. It's not the absence of fear, it's the presence of direction. You wake up knowing that your steps have meaning even if you don't yet see the destination. You stop comparing your timeline to others because you finally understand that purpose isn't a race, it's a rhythm. Your pace is yours alone, and when you honor it, life flows more naturally. You no longer feel behind because you've learned that alignment will always matter more than speed. You begin to see that walking like it's already yours changes not just how you move, but who you become while moving. The walk molds your character. It teaches patience where you once demanded speed. It teaches humility where you once sought recognition. It teaches endurance where you once relied on motivation. The walk itself becomes the greatest teacher you'll ever know, and though the lessons are not always easy, they are always worth it. You start to find beauty in simplicity. You realize that peace is not found in grand achievements, but in the quiet confidence of knowing you're on the right path. It's in the still moments when you feel grateful for the journey itself. It's in the realization that you no longer need to chase what is already flowing toward you. When you live and walk in that state of awareness, you stop seeking from a place of lack and start attracting from a place of abundance. You've learned that not everyone will understand your walk, and that's okay. You were not meant to be understood by everyone. Some will question your calm, others will doubt your confidence, but their misunderstanding is not your responsibility. The truth is, those who doubt your steps are often still standing where you once were. Let their hesitation remind you of how far you've come, not how much you have to prove. Your progress speaks for itself, even when you remain silent. There will still be moments when fear visits again, when the path ahead feels foggy and unclear. But now you know what to do. You breathe, you trust, you take one step, because you've learned that fear loses its power when you move through it. You've learned that no matter how uncertain life feels, the act of walking in faith always creates clarity. You no longer wait for the perfect moment. You create it with your courage. You no longer hope for signs. You become one. And so, step after step, belief becomes your way of life. You begin to walk not as someone trying to reach something, but as someone who already carries it within. You embody the truth that everything you desire is already aligned with you. It's just waiting for your certainty to meet it. You walk because walking has become your declaration, your prayer, your proof. Every day you remind the world and yourself, the vision is already mine, and I am simply walking toward its unveiling.